Old School Bodybuilding Clothing Company. If it's been 3.5 hours since you last ate protein and now you're starting to freak out, you are old school. If watching someone sit on a hammer machine for 5 minutes between sets playing with their phone pisses you off, you are definitely old school. OSBBC.com for the hardest training athletes.
You're funny.
Like I said, do you like my tail? Like I said.
Welcome back to another exciting episode of Iron Rage. I'm Dave Palumbo, and I'm joined by a slightly sick Lee Priest, who's got the chills, and he's got his species sweatshirt on, I see.
Oh, yeah, you don't normally see me in a jumper, but the worst thing is, though, I got like a head cold, had all my COVID tests, and I had the flu that sounds a head cold. But the worst thing was I was going to go to gym this morning, and my wife yells at me, "Take that day off. You're not going, just relax. You're going to wear yourself out." But the worst thing is I had a coffee and I took my stimuli, but now I can't go to the gym.
You're going crazy. You know,
housework.
Yeah, you clean like you don't clean enough already. I actually mixed my I got a Gatorade Zero here, and I mixed a little stimuli in it, like a half a serving, because I was like falling asleep, and now I'm almost too alert. Like you know how like sometimes you get too stimulated. It's like I'm not like where I'm grinding my jaw, but because the stimuli doesn't do that. But I'm so alert now that like it's like you said, I don't even know what to do with myself. I'm like I've done 3 TV shows in a row, and I'm like, we got to do a couple more because I have too much energy almost.
You have to wait till Logan gets back and race him up and down the driveway.
If I can only run, I can only run. I'll tell you one thing. I've been going to physical therapy for my foot, and it's a very humbling experience when you get surgery, and you know what, and you can't do something that you've done before, and I don't mind working hard, but there's always that like fear that like you're not going to get back function. You know what I'm saying? It's like I'm in so much, my ankle hurts so much. It's almost like, I'm like, is this ever going to come back? But then I look at my calf, and my calf is about 8 inches in diameter because it atrophied so much from the cast that of course my ankle is not, being supported properly. But as bodybuilders, we're so used to never really having to make a big comeback that we're so in shape all the time that we take for granted these things. And so it's a little frustrating for me because I want to see results, but yet I have to kind of just take my time and let my body kind of
welcome to my world after the car accident, the neck operations where the muscle atrophy. I actually went to see a plastic surgeon last week, this woman who does this was the good news she's told me. She goes, because she does a lot of breast reaugmentation, whatever, with fat. She looked at me and took my shirt. She goes, "We could inject fat here and that to make it symmetrical to this side. Right. But if you diet down really lean, it's going to disappear." She goes, "But she said, I don't think you have enough fat on your body to inject." I'm like, "Whoa!
Wow, that's the first time you ever heard that response, right?"
Exactly. I said, "You can take it from my cock. I got plenty there." But she said they're going to have to make an implant. She's got to talk to another doctor, but they said we can make an implant because, like I said, it looks like that, Scott Steiner, when he's disappeared just there, like someone took a bite out of it. Yeah. So they could make an implant, but then I'd have to detach my chest muscle, push it under it. I'm like, that's a bit drastic.
Yeah, I don't think that's. I think you have to just really continue to get that function back. Do you feel like you're at a point where you're not going to improve?
Well, some days it does feel like the upper chest has come back. Like across here, I can feel it getting bigger. Here, very slow, but the triceps coming back in the armies. But this is probably going to be the last piece of the puzzle, probably. Yeah. So it's like,
you can contact. That guy died, but you could contact his family maybe and get some of that oil that guy from Brazil had left. Maybe you could pump it in there. Maybe he's got a protocol written down someplace that you can do.
It's sad that he died, but didn't he look like? You think someone would have told him at some point, "Hey, that's like."
I think they did. He didn't care. He just was. He liked the attention from it. But anyway, speaking of your penis, you had mentioned earlier. On After Hours, we were talking about Caverject because Richard Rodriguez was saying he used it when he was in a stage, I guess, where he was like took too many steroids and he was like having sex with a ton of prostitutes, and he was taking Caverject, which is something, it's a prostaglandin. You inject it into the head of your, or I don't know what part of your penis, but you inject it in there, and it creates I guess it closes off the blood supply, so you have a permanent erection for like a few hours. Now, people who do that with the right dosage usually don't have a problem, but then there's the extremists like Blue Priest who might do too much of the stuff. And I was horrified actually to find out that you actually had a very bad experience with Caverject, because after you listened to the show, you sent me pictures that when I looked at the pictures, I think I might be traumatized for the rest of my life seeing these. What the heck happened to you?
Well, I never needed it, but everyone talks about it, so I thought, well, I'll just try it. I've tried Viagra, I've tried Cialis, so why not? So I'd already taken a Viagra, and my friend was like, I got some, I'll drop it round. And he sent it round. He goes, well, I'm not sure. This is how much I normally take, but you're like bigger, so he gave me more than what you meant to take.
Oh no! And
he said you got to put it in like the very just in front of your groin on an angle into it, and that was the weirdest feeling, putting that insulin needle into it. But then it worked. It got really hard. I had sex all night. And the next day I wake up, I'm like, oh, it's still hard. Or 3/4, not down, not fully up, but just a 3/4. It's still solid, but not like raging. And a day goes by, I'm like, fucking nothing's happening. It's not going down. My wife's like, oh, you're going to have to go to the hospital. I said, I'm not fucking going to the hospital.
Because now you're embarrassed. Yeah, you're embarrassed now. Yeah, exactly.
And now 2 days go by. I'm trying to sit in I've got like cold water on. I'm thinking, well, maybe cold, that's constricting. I'll go warm. So warm. I got flannels on it, trying to fucking washcloths on it. I said, I can't go out in public. Everywhere I go, I look like a pervert with a fucking boner in my pants. So on the 2.5 day, it's midnight. She's like, you're going to have to go. You're going to have to go. I'm like, fuck it. So I call up my friend Adam. I said, Adam, we're going to have to, can you just give me a lift to the hospital? I said, there's this hospital where the emergency room is. If you pay $250, get in straight away. It's more private.
Right.
We'll go there. So I go in because no one ever really goes there.
Yeah.
This nurse comes and said, I have to be a woman.
Of course, of course.
Come with me. So she comes in, she goes, take your pants down, give me a look. I'm like, oh, fuck. I'm laying there, my friend Adam's standing there laughing. So she goes, I'll be back. So she comes back with this big ice bowl of water and bandages in it.
Oh, no.
And she fucking grabs my cock and starts wrapping it up like a fucking mummy. Like, freezing cold water. Then while it's like that, then she starts squeezing it.
Oh, no.
Like, fuck, this ain't fucking good. So this went on for like an hour or two. I don't think this is working. She goes, I've just contacted John Hunter Hospital. There's a urologist up there who's actually going to wait back for you. So I'm going to send you up there. So we drive up to this hospital.
Oh, no.
I'm thinking, this is the main big one. And people fucking know me up there, security guards. Everyone, hey, what are you here for? So I go to the urologist and he's like, okay, lay down. He's like, I'm thinking, oh, God, more people are going to come in. It'd be one of those
teaching hospitals.
Where they like, like where they're showing the apprentices type thing.
Yeah, they're showing all the young med students like what not to look for,
Yeah, so luckily it wasn't. It was just him. He was like a nice Asian guy, and I'm laying on the table. He's like, "Oh, you've got nice girth," and I said, "Stop talking about
nice girth."
And then he's like, "Oh, well, it's good that your partner brought you in. How often do you
your partner? I thought you guys were together.
Yeah. I'm looking at Adam and Adam's like, does he think we're gay? I said, just go with it. Just fucking go with the story.
Why did he take his friend and not his
wife?
And
then he goes, okay, what we've got to do is...
Tyler wants to know why you didn't bring your wife with you.
Yeah.
But she had to work the next day, so she had to sleep.
Just need some moral support.
And I think she was at that point, you did it to yourself, so you...
Right.
You didn't feel safe to drive?
She probably told him not to do it, and he didn't listen, did it anyway, so now she's like, well... Now it's on you take care of it now.
Well, she got the benefit from it when it was fucking hard. She was half involved. So I'm laying there on the table. He tells me, what we're going to do is we're going to put a needle in your groin each side to numb the whole area first.
Oh, my God.
So you won't feel it. And then he goes, I'll put a needle each side and then we'll drain it. So I'm thinking, okay, if I get through these 2 needles in the groin, that's that groin picture I showed you where it's all black and blue. That was from that.
Oh God!
Why did it turn all black and blue like that? It looked like they massacred. They were like massacring you.
Big fucking needle. And I told Evan about this in a party. He's like, there's just one thing you can take and it would have gone down straight away. I said, well, no one fucking told me that. I forget what it was. But so now he goes, okay, now it's sort of numb. And out comes the other needle and he grabs it and he pushes it in the side. And I'm like, I couldn't really feel it on the right side, but the left side.
No.
And he starts draining. I'm like, oh, thank God. And then he takes it out. Then he goes back. He did it like fucking 20 times each side. He told me once. He got like 500 mil out of.
Oh my God, that's a lot of blood.
And I think you're seeing the photos like around. That's just some of it.
It looks like like someone was massacred. I don't want to show anyone this picture. It's horrendous.
You'd have to put like an eggplant over it.
I don't want to traumatize anyone for life. I've already been traumatized for life looking at it.
You got to show Tyler.
He won't look at it.
No, Tyler, you be a man. You man up and look at this.
I get to
feel my pain.
The groin picture was worse with the black and blue. It looked like someone like stabbed you down there.
But then I showed you the close up of the penis with all the holes in it. So oh my God. Once he stabbed it a few times, he grabs the base and he squeezes it. And I mean, like, oh my God, it's like, when someone does a Chinese burn on your arm?
Indian burn.
He's squeezing it like that.
Yeah.
And because he's had all the things in, it's like a fucking cock blood sprinkler.
Oh, no.
Well, as you saw on that green sheet around me, he's just covered in fucking blood.
I didn't know what all that blood was from. Now I know, obviously.
Yeah, that's where it was from. My cock, Dave. It was from my cock.
No, I knew it. I didn't realize he created a sprinkler for you.
And then this went on for like hours, and then finally.
Hours he was doing this for?
At least 2 or 3 hours.
Oh now, God, why though? What I don't understand. Once they drained it, why'd they have to keep doing it?
Because it wouldn't go down still. It's like it drained blood out of it, then it'd still be hard.
It seemed like a good
it must have been
solution.
Yeah, you would think there would have been some kind of like prostaglandin that could have done the opposite of what this thing did, like a vasodilator or something they could have given you.
That's what I think Evan said, that some sort of thing like that you can use that would have been a lot less invasive. But then after he's finished it, right, for 2 weeks, like he wrapped it up and it was like a fucking baseball bat. It was wrapped that fat. So anywhere I went, I had to wear the baggiest tops because I had this big fucking bulge in my pants, like a fucking pedo walking around the shopping centres.
Oh my God. Was it painful?
Well, you saw how black and blue it went, my cock in that picture. I was like, it was terrible. I was just like throbbing and that. My wife's like, hey, you never do that again, will you? But here's the weird thing. After that, when we'd get into those nights of having sex and shit, I'd like pain, and it's like I'd tell her to bite it and twist it. And I got this is how fucked up. You know, sliding doors like this?
Yeah.
No.
I got 2 sliding doors. I put it in the middle of the doors and pushed the doors shut on my cock. It's like after having this done to me, it's like I become a sadist with my cock and I tried to abuse it.
A masochist.
You know, I should call my cock Nicole Simpson. It's been abused more than fucking O.J. Simpson.
Too soon. No, just kidding. That's a crazy story. I got news for you. That could traumatize someone for life. Now, let me ask you a question. How long did it take before it actually healed?
About a month and a half or so. Then my wife's panicking, thinking, what happens if you never get an erection again? Because they said some people after this might never get a hard on again, and this and that. I said, "Oh, what? You're going to leave me if I can't get a hard on?"
Were you concerned about that?
Not really. I think I got a tongue and fingers, finger pop.
Oh man!
But it was terrible. Though, let me tell you, it's like it was one of the. I said it's weird that I could forget about that, but when you brought up that story on After Hours, I went, "Oh fuck! I think I've still got pictures. Let me send them to Dave."
You know, the funny thing about you is that just when, and I say this every time to you, Tyler, you're my witness. Every time I think I've heard every story about Lee Priest, and he comes up with a brand new one that's worse than the next one. Yep. I don't know how you keep outdoing all these stories. It's not, and I'm sure you probably got more that you don't even remember that will somehow be queued up, by something else we say.
It's like you think that I'd never forget that one, would you? But then I had.
Think so.
And then when you started talking about
so.
Kavacek, I went, and my wife's sitting beside me. She just looks over. She goes, "Are you going to text Dave and tell him what happened?"
The funny thing is that you took pictures of it. That's the funny thing, I think.
Well, I had to. The thing was, I couldn't believe what I was seeing, so I said, "Look, Adam, give me my phone. No one's going to believe this." But every time now, I think even though where he numbed me, I think towards the end of the 2 hours it was wearing off, because when he was putting that needle back in the side, I was like,
yeah. You think he might have just left something in there? You know how like they do like when they give you like an IV, like so that they can just keep draw off the same needle, so they don't have to keep sticking the same another needle in there. You probably have 40 holes in your penis.
Going from well, I'm thinking, are there different chambers on each side that he's got to stab each side?
Well, there's a tube on each side, the corpora cavernosa, I think they call it, and that so there's two parallel tubes that they usually drain. Now, when my friend who had the same thing happen, he went and what they do is they usually flush it first with saline, and that usually dilutes down the Caverject enough that it opens up. In his case, they flushed it like 4 or 5 times, and they said we can't do it anymore, and then they had to do what they did to you. They drained it, but I think they put him out for that. They did it like under anesthesia. Your guy is like a masochist. This guy must have been a real sadistic bastard to do that while you were awake.
But the worst thing was like when he's describing, it's like, oh, you've got nice girth and a good penis. I think I'm in pain here. It's like, and then like I said, the worst part was the needle was sore. But then, like I said, when he grabbed and just squeezed, I mean, like as hard as he could, I'm just like.
Well, you ever see these? You ever see these S&M guys that like they want to like have women step on their penis with like a high heel shoe or something like that? Well, essentially, that's what happened to you. You probably could have sold if you would have videotaped this session. You probably could have sold it as the greatest porn video of all time, S&M porn video.
Well, I could have because my friend sent me a video once of, I think I told you, this Indian guy, and he's got a hard on, and this person's got a piece of wood. And all through the wood are like probably 18 gauge needles.
Right.
And his penis is sitting on top of it.
Yeah.
And this guy puts his foot on the penis and starts pushing it down.
Right.
And he's like, oh, no, master, no, master, no, master. And all these needles go up through his penis and blood's coming out everywhere.
That's essentially what you had happen. Yeah. It's the same thing.
Yeah, but I was... If OnlyFans was around a couple of years ago, I could have got rich.
Yeah, and you actually paid to have it done. That's the funny thing.
I know, it was free. It was free medical. I got it for free with Medicare.
I'm glad that you didn't have to pay for that at least. You know. So.
I wonder if anyone would pay me for those photos because it's pretty.
I'm sure there's plenty of fucking nutcases out there would love to see those photos.
I only showed you a couple of photos. I got more with the needles stuck in each side.
I'm sure you probably have some video you probably took of it too, right?
I didn't take video. I should have, because that would have been more.
Yeah, I would have liked. Yeah, I don't know if I would have liked to, but I'm sure people would have liked to see the fountain effect.
Tyler would have liked to see.
Yes,
oh yeah. Speaking of needles and privates,
yeah.
Take a look at this.
British model spends $42,000 to tattoo her private parts.
She has the world's most tattooed vagina.
Oh really? Huh.
Oh.
Do they show it?
No, I don't think they do.
I guess she ran out of places to put tattoos.
That looks like my friend Billy. That looks like my friend Billy with her. Go back. What's that guy's name? Does it say?
Oh, well, you can almost see her vagina there. Look at that. I mean, she's got that like skimpy little bottom on there. Go down a little bit, Tyler. You see that?
Oh.
Yeah, she's really tattooed.
Not that tattooed yet. It must have been.
That would have to hurt, wouldn't it? Because that'd be very like soft, sensitive skin around there.
Yeah.
I wonder if she got tattooed on the inside of the lips too, like people do their lip.
I think so.
The inside their lip.
I don't think she has a spot on her body that's not tattooed. I was going to say, what kind of lunatic would want to have tattoos all over their body like that? And then I'm thinking, well, Lee does, I guess so.
That answers your question.
Yeah, there you go.
I never. Oh, there's an idea because I like it. I'm going to get species nutrition down the side of my car.
There you go. Yeah. Put it someplace at least people can see it.
I might just, it's cold here, I might just have room for the S at the moment.
There you go. I got to tell you, the tattoo that you had removed from your face, they did a really good job. I mean, I can't even see a trace of it. I mean, aside from the little part around your eye that you can't get off.
I'm still deciding whether to get that done, but you got to go somewhere different. Like I said, where they numb your eye, put the metal contact in. Right. But then some people say that some people do it now where they just put a metal teaspoon over your eye and pull it down.
Right.
So the laser doesn't get your eyeball. But what are the chances the laser will hit my eyeball? Be like, Dave, I'm blind.
Yeah. Well, you got that lid, the part in your lid you have to have removed too. Now,
Yeah. Well, I figure I could just put makeup on it. If someone goes, "You got makeup on?" I say, "I'm non-binary, cunt."
the funny thing is that when you start talking about, I got to put a thing here and I got to put, it's like after you have your penis stuck 4,000 times with an 18-gauge needle, does it really matter? There's nothing that could be worse than that, probably. So.
And isn't it weird though? Like I said, I can give myself a shot, but even when I do, I had one there. Like I said, when I just take the Sus 250 again, 1 mil, I got to sit here for at least 5 minutes. Nope. And then, like I said, I never go whack and push it all the way in. Just the tip of the needle goes in, and then I do it slow, and it fucking burns as it's going in. I'm like, nah, this is going to be bad. This is going to be bad. And then you get that like little lump there where it sort of knocks up, and then the next day I'm like, I got a fever.
I don't know how people deal with any kind of test propionate. I really don't. I know guys that take a lot of it. I mean, Valentino back in the day took a ton of test pro. I don't know how they do it. It leaves me so sore and gives me the flu-like symptoms,
I get that. You know how you said you see people on stage, they got sinful.
Yeah.
Right now you think that about me. I got this nice side delt here that's pretty hard.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. A little knot there. Lee's injecting his shoulders. Well, yeah, he is.
Yeah, I'd be injecting here if I was going to inject anywhere.
You should get the Valentino protocol for your chest. He'd probably fix that right up in 2 seconds. He'll tell you, take 10 cc's of propionate, fill a syringe, and just pump it right into your pec.
Who do you think's going to do well at this weekend's show?
Well, I was going to ask you that. We were going to pull up some pictures, maybe. Steve Kukla has got to be considered, I guess, one of the favorites going into the show.
And that Adam Jack's a wild card if he comes in good condition. It's like, even though it's his first one, it's like you can't really count him out. Looking at him, he looks pretty good.
He's a freak, but I feel like he could be harder, but I don't know. I don't know if I'm just
Well, he probably will be on the Dave. He probably will be.
Well, the day is coming up very shortly.
He might put. Hey, could you put that Cavaject in your biceps and shit?
No, guys used to do that. It's ludicrous. It's the stupidest thing of all time.
They did.
It doesn't work like that. It's like the people who try to take Cialis or Viagra before they go out on stage, thinking they're going to get a pump in their whole body. It's a pump in your penis, you idiots. That's why it works.
I know. When you're doing a lat spread, you see your fucking helmet coming out of your posing trunks.
Can you imagine if a girl took that? Imagine giving a girl a Cialis before she goes on stage, one of these women bodybuilders.
Well, don't they reckon that women, if women take Viagra and Cialis, they get sort of horny or something, or they feel?
No, but it causes an erection down there. But if you have a big enlarged,
the women. You mean with the clitoris?
Yeah, that could definitely stick through the suit. You definitely don't want to do that.
You'd be like, oh my God, she's injecting her groin. Look at the scar tissue down there. Her tampon's falling out. What's happening?
Yeah, I wonder if a woman used Cavaject in her clitoris, if that would it would probably have the same effect.
I remember, she's a lovely lady, and that's I guess we can talk about it because it used to be on the internet. I remember when Denise Messina, she's a lovely lady, you talk to her and stuff and that, but I remember when she had those videos when she'd put that pump on her clitoris. Did you ever see them? I mean, like, it was like pump it like a penis pump, and I'm like, Jesus.
Lee's like, I got to try that.
That'll put some men to shame. Oh, don't worry, I've done the penis pump thing where I've put it on and I've pumped away. And I'm like, this feels good. Because I was a little bit drunk, you can't feel as much, so I'm pumping more. My wife walks in and goes, take that fucking thing off, you're going blue and purple. Can you imagine?
Can you imagine if you would have fucking become like, it would have fallen off because you oxygen deprived it too long? Lee had to have his penis amputated because he had it in a penis pump for 3 hours.
My wife's like, I think when it goes purple, you're meant to take it off. You're not meant to leave it on that long. I'm like, I can't really feel it.
It's funny because you are, known for not using very high dosages of anabolics, but yet you do insane other stuff that it's like, where did you come up with this from? Which is funny because you're so responsible with anabolic usage, but then with everything else, it's like excessive,
I don't know.
When you want to try something, it's very dangerous because you go, all right, if I'm going to try it, I might as well go all out. You know, that's your attitude.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like all or nothing. But the thing is, I don't have an addictive personality to keep doing it. It's like I'll try it once. So I figure if I'm going to do it once, I'll go all in.
Yeah. Getting back to the show this coming weekend, you know, Kamal Gardner is going to be doing the Texas Pro again. He just did Tampa. A lot of people thought he should have won, should have beat Akeem, and now he's going to be going up against better competition. Obviously, you got Andrew Jack, you got Steve Kuklo. There's a bunch of good guys in this lineup. If Kamal wins, an open event, and qualifies, now he's qualified for the Open, and then he would be qualified for the 212 because he's a former Olympia champ. Now, there's also two other guys that have qualified in both Open and 212, and that would be Sean Clarita and what's the guy from Spain?
Derek.
No,
Derek.
No, Derek hasn't done an open show. No, what's the guy from Spain?
Yeah.
The little freaky guy.
There,
Yeah. But anyway, now here's the thing, and we've talked about this before in the past, but I want to get your opinion because you were in that same category where you probably could have qualified in both Open and 212. Why doesn't the organization let these guys compete in both if they qualify in both?
I don't know. Did you watch Dennis's podcast with Milos, Chris Cormier, and Bob Ciccarello on it? And
No.
Milos asked that question.
No.
Bob's answer was like, well, you can't go doing that because it's judged different, the 212 and the Open. And Milos is like, how? It's bodybuilding.
Yeah.
Bodybuilding.
Right.
Well, it's judged different and this and that. It just wouldn't be right. And then he goes, and the show would go on too long if we have crossovers. I'm like,
Crossovers? How many guys are going to qualify for both? Yeah. What, one guy?
exactly. I said very, very rarely, one or two maybe. You'd be lucky to qualify in both. And then he said too, why can't we just have fun with it and do what they used to do? And because, you know, Bob started saying there's only one Mr. Olympia. Yes, there's the classic Mr. like Olympia and the 212, but there's only one true Mr. Olympia. That's the Open.
Right.
So then Milos is like, well, why don't at the end, you know, have the 212 champ go up against the Open champ to see who truly is the best? Oh, you can't do that. And this, I'm like,
why not?
I tell you, like, I know even Nick Trigilli did a video on it because the answers Bob is given for everything, it's like, he was talking, Milos gets into him the whole time, which is great because Bob's like, you know, I got rid of the symmetry. And he's like, what? What do you mean you got rid of symmetry? And he goes, did you ask the athletes if they wanted to have the symmetry around? No, I just decided. He goes, who are you to decide to get rid of that round? And like, Milos is just he's like, you're meant to be the athlete's rep. Why didn't you not console the athletes? And the posing, he's like, you know, some people could make up into posing and you got rid of that too. It's like, Milos just takes over the show and Dennis is like,
well, the truth is that Bob didn't change anything. It was obviously, you know, Jim Mannion or the organization who decided to get rid of those. It wasn't Bob Ciccarello who decided to get rid of them.
No,
Bob takes credit
Bob
for the stupidest things because Bob always winds up getting yelled at by people, and it's not really his thing. He didn't get rid of it. You know, he didn't get rid of the symmetry round. The judges got rid of the symmetry round because they said, for whatever reason, I don't know why, you know, they wanted to judge it more based on the mandatory poses, and that's fine.
Well,
but Bob was the guy who made the decision to do that. I mean,
well, you need to watch that because Bob did do that, Dave, and I don't want to. Don't you take credit away from Bob?
You know what, Lee? I wish I had enough time to watch all the podcasts out there. I really do.
The show would go too long. That's why you can't have the 212 going into both.
Yeah,
because,
exactly.
You know,
because,
even though they're on different times of the day.
It's an extra 60 seconds of a mandatory posing thing.
Oh, I think it would be great. I think people would love it. It would be more exciting. And like I said, it gives them. And if you are qualified, then they say, well, you should just do one. Why can't you do both? It's like
if you qualify in both, then that means you're good enough to do both. And so that means that you should have the ability. In other words, if you don't qualify, that's a different story. It's not like, oh, you know what, we really like, what's his name, Derek Lunsford as the 212 Olympia. Let's invite him to do the Open too. No, we're not saying that. But if Derek does an Open show and wins it, he should be able to do both. There's no reason why he shouldn't be able to do both.
Exactly. I agree.
It's ridiculous.
I don't get it. And then, like I said, I think they should make it fun towards the end too, where they bring out the 212.
Yeah.
And the Open and let him pose down.
You know why Bob's answer sounded so ridiculously?
Because he's an idiot.
No, it's not. That's debatable. But The real
It is.
reason why it sounds ridiculous, his answers, is because it's ridiculous. There is no real answer to the. There's no good answer to the reason why. It's because someone made a decision that they can't do it. And there's no logical reason why they can't do it. So Bob's got to make up ridiculous thing. It's judging differently. It's symmetry versus there's no logical reason why they shouldn't allow it, and that's why no one can come up with a good answer to the question. It's just we're not allowing it. That they should just say that we don't want to do it. You got to pick one or the other. There's no logical answer. Don't ask us why, because we don't even have an answer. We don't know why. We're just making up this rule for whatever the reason is.
And I don't want people to think I'm coming down on Bob, because I'm the biggest fucking idiot there is. So I know one when I see one, okay? So me calling him an idiot, I'm allowed, because I'm king idiot, okay? So
it's funny,
but I just don't. But the whole thing I don't get about Bob is too. On the other program, I watched, someone drew my attention to it, where he calls me a liar. Lee was never suspended. Lee was never suspended for life. It's like, oh, really? That's why I just couldn't go to shows. I couldn't get in. I couldn't compete. I'm like, yeah, I'm just going to make up this rumor. Guess what, people? I'm suspended for life. And I can't.
But it's funny. Bob answers questions that he doesn't even have to answer, because he doesn't even know the answers to it. He's making up answers, and it makes him look stupid when he doesn't even have to. He should just be like, you know what? I don't know why. They don't want to let guys do both. That's it. That would have been a great answer from Bob, and then Bob wouldn't be held responsible for the dumb answers that he's giving, because those are not the real answers. The answer is that they don't want to allow it, and that's it. Maybe that's why they should have a vote. Maybe they should get the athletes to say, hey, look, This is an important enough topic that we want. You know, Hadi Chupin was in that circumstance a few years back. Yeah. Remember, he had to choose opener. Now, he chose open, and he wound up placing third. But he, or fourth, whatever it was that year. I don't remember. But the bottom line is he couldn't do both, and he was qualified in both, you know.
I know, and I think that's the one the athletes should bring up and say. But then I wonder if some of those open guys will say, no, we don't want it, because some of those open guys will be like, shit, this 212 guy might fucking knock me out of the top six.
Well, you know what?
But the thing is, though, you should never be scared of that, because if you want to prove yourself, it's like, you know, some people are like, well, I'm not going to do this show because such and such is in, or this is in. It's like, that's the best time to do it. If you want to prove yourself as a bodybuilder, you got to compete with the best, no matter if it's a 212 guy or an open guy.
You know what, Lee? Now that I think about it, if they would do the overall pose down at the end, 212 champ versus open champ, then you can restrict people, because then you can say, look, you pick one or the other. Because if you win the 212, you're going to go up against the open guy anyway. You can't do both. Yeah. But because there's no overall, it becomes that now it's a problem. Now I think it's illogical to not let them do both, because they're completely separate contests. They're not related to each other. Yeah. So there's no redundancy in this, you know? Yeah.
And then someone's like, well, we're going to have the classic too. And that's like, no, because the 212 and the open are bodybuilding.
Right.
You know, the classic physique,
different poses.
Else, you don't put them
right.
in.
There's different poses. You can't do it. Right. The classic don't do the same poses.
So like I said, it makes sense to do the 212. And that's like when back in the day, Arnold and Franco at the end would pose them together and stuff. And a couple of times I thought Franco looked better, but Arnold win because of his structure and stuff. But I just think, just for the fans' perspective and this and that, maybe the open guy might get upset, because, you know, if Flex Lewis or someone back in the day had gone up against him, I think he would have given him a run for the money. There's a few 212 guys that, you know, could push him. I said, even if the open guy wins, okay, then, you know, he's the top dog. But, just the excitement of doing it, seeing him go at it.
Of course. It's another level of excitement. God forbid the show gets more exciting, right?
I know, and adds what? An extra 10 minutes to the show for two people to go through compulsories and pose down?
Right. You know what? Take away some of the mandatory, some of the posing on the bikini, because no one's going to complain about that if you're worried about an extra 10 minutes. We have a lack of excitement in bodybuilding right now. So create more excitement by creating this pose down at the end. It's so obvious that it can only work to an advantage. Not as a disadvantage. And you know what? If the 212 guy really looks better than the open guy and he wins, that's like David beating Goliath. I mean, that's the story of the weekend, right?
Oh yeah, but even if he doesn't, because sometimes, you know, the 212 guy might look better, but they'll give it to the bigger guy. But everyone's going to be like, oh, because, you know, once you got the photos side by side, or the 212 guy's more complete and this and that, and he's got everything, whereas this guy's got big chest and back, but he's lacking heat. Right. So it'll just cause controversy. I think it'd be fun.
It would be hard, it would be hard to do that unless you had a Mr. Olympia, like when Phil Heath was never the biggest guy on stage. So if you put Phil Heath against a guy like Lunsford, it would be a much better matchup.
Yeah.
You put Ramy against Lunsford, Ramy's so much bigger and so much taller.
Yeah.
There's probably no way he
Could you
wins.
imagine? But just even the excitement, like say back in the day, you had Ronnie Coleman, Mr. Olympia,
Right.
and then you had Sean Clarida go against him. He's like this mini version of
That would
Ronnie.
be great. Yeah.
It'd be so much fun just to see him go and pose.
Absolutely.
For pose
Why
and
not?
Pose and down.
Why not?
Like I said, as you said, you want to make it more entertaining and get people to watch it. If people knew, hey, at the end of the show, there's going to be this battle of both classes to see,
Yeah.
I think it'd be great.
Yeah. I'd like to see
But we don't want to make it exciting, Dave, and fucking,
No,
we
we
don't
don't
want
do
to
that.
progress bodybuilding.
I would love to see the men's physique winner against the classic physique winner. You know, even though they don't have
Yeah, that'd be
legs,
harder.
who cares? I want to see them pose down against each other. They're probably about the same size, those guys. Although maybe not.
Well, we could maybe put the classic guy more in with the bodybuilding because he has legs. The
Yeah.
physique guy you could probably put against the wheelchair division. Dave, that's not funny.
That was very funny, actually. That was the funniest thing you said the whole show, actually. And on that note,
thank
I
you.
think we should wrap it up because I don't think we. First of all, we cannot do the penis story, and secondly, you're making such logical sense now. I don't want this to deteriorate back to the penis story. So
Yeah, quit while I'm ahead.
that's right. That's right. Well, Lee, I hope you feel better. I know you're not feeling that you're a little under the weather. Keep that BC sweatshirt on. It will keep you.
I'm taking lots of this.
There you go.
Alive.
Double your dose.
Don't forget Priest 25.
There you go. Priest 25 at 25% off at speciesnutrition.com. Free shipping on orders over $100.
And now I've got to go do the housework because I've taken stimuli. So I can't.
There you go. Me too. I'm going to go clean. I think I'm going to go vacuum the studio now. I'm so.
I know what I'm
wound
going
up.
to do. I'm going to go see if I can slam my dick in the door and pull myself.
Yeah, don't stick any needles in your penis before I see you next. All right. I don't want to hear any emergency room stories.
Can I put Sus 250 in it? Hey Dave, I've got this big lump there.
You know, why don't you try the Caverject in your pec? I was just thinking about it. Maybe that'll blow it up a little bit.
No, Dave, do not give me ideas. Because if I do it, you'll get the blame. When I'm in hospital, what gave you this idea? Oh, Dave Palumbo. He actually said it on the show. Do you want to look at the evidence?
Yeah, exactly. Don't listen to me. All right, guys, hope you're having a great week. Hope you enjoyed today's show. As always, we will be back again next week, assuming that YouTube doesn't take us down. I'm Dave Palumbo with Lee Priest for another installment of Iron Rage.